So today's session will be on how to standardize the naming of the objects, and then we'll see how we can connect from VBA to Excel, and then we'll see how we can write some simple one-liner programs. First thing is, as I told you, when you are starting any file with macros, save the file. Go here. First I'll say save, then we'll go to the folder. And macro enabled file, and we'll say file name, and I'll say. So this is the first thing what you should do. Next step is naming the objects. See here, I have sheet 1 here. I can write the program with this sheet 1 also. But make sure that you will start developing the skill of naming the objects. The reason is, if you start naming the objects, it will be easy to recognize on what objects you are programming. So let me go here, I'll say WKS program. Now what I'm saying, WKS program means it's just a name I've given. This is called as sheet name. Let's say Alt F11. When I go to Alt F11, see here, I have one more sheet 1, and then whatever I named, the sheet name is coming inside the bracket. The one what you see outside the bracket is called as code name. So it is called as code name. Code name means the one what we use for writing the program. I can use this as well, WKS program, whatever is there, as well as this code name. Usually the best practice is to use this code name. How to rename this? The other class we discussed about the property window. I told you if you want to change any properties of the object, then I can go to this property window. You see here, I have this property window. Here I have this name which I named, that is sheet name, and here I have sheet 1 which is actually for the code name. I'll go here, I'll say WKS program. I'll name the same name I'll give for code name and the sheet name. It's a good practice actually. You can give any name, but I usually practice giving this both same name so that it will be easy for me to recognize. So in the previous session, we saw how to write the program, display the message by hard coding of the values. But today I'll show you guys how to connect from VBA to Excel and get the values. Let's say I have a value here. Welcome to online sessions. In B5, I have a text, welcome to online session. I want to take this value in my VBA program. So what we'll do, we'll go here, right click, insert a module. Now we should name this module as well. It's a good practice. Again, I'm telling you, try to name all the objects. And while naming, have some prefix. Here I've used WKS, that means it is worksheet. Now this is module. So what I'll do, I'll say F4, and here I'll say mod. It is a practice, that's it. It's not, it should be mod only. It's a better practice that if you give 3 characters of that particular object, then it will be easy for me to recognize the objects. Mod underscore, I'll just say program. See, it is easy to connect. This is worksheet program. This is mod underscore program. Now we'll start writing the program. Say sub, again I'll say display text, like what we did yesterday. Same thing we'll do here. Display text. We'll see yesterday's, in the previous class code here. Say message box, say welcome to online classes. This is what we did in our previous session. Now if I run this, see, I'll get this text. But what I want is, I want the value which is there in the Excel sheet and display. I'll just comment it. Comment means it is non-executable statement. I'll just put one single quote here. See, this will become a green color like this. That means this is comment. This will not get executed. Now let me go to the next line and say message box. Now instead of typing this as welcome to online class, I'll take the value from this Excel sheet. How will I take? See, I'll say range of, then I should give the address. Range of, it is D5. Let's say D5. dot value. So this is how I'll be taking the value from the Excel sheet. See, range d5 dot value. Now if I run this, whatever value is there in this sheet of this range d5, I'll get the value. Fine. Let me change the text here. We are working on simple programs. Now let me run this. See, I'm not changing anything in the text, just the same program, same code. If I run this, see, we are working on simple programs. That means whatever value is there, whatever text is there in this d5, so that will get displayed here. Now this is range d5 dot value. Fine. Now let me insert one more sheet. I inserted one more sheet here. Now if I try to run the same program, see, it will give me blank value. The reason is when I am saying range of d5 dot value, it is taking the d5 value of the current sheet, the active sheet. So how will I actually get the value of this sheet even though I'm in a different sheet? So for that, what you have to do is, I'll just copy this and I'll paste it here. Same code. Let me delete this. You have to mention the code name as well here. That is this name, WKS program. So now what I'll do is WKS program dot range of d5 dot value. Now in this case, I'm not specified the sheet name. In this case, I'm specifying the sheet name. Now I'm in a different sheet. Let me run this. See, still I'm getting that text. The reason is because of this object. So in the previous session, we learned about the hierarchy. So I was telling, I'll be telling you in the next session. See, this is what the hierarchy, sheet name and the range. So specific, suppose if I want to get value from different workbook itself, then I have to mention workbook dot sheet dot then range. So when you come to this, say objects, then I'll explain how to get the value from different workbooks. Now we're taking data from different cell. Right. Now we saw how to get the value from a cell. Now let's say I want a number to be displayed. Same program like yesterday what we did. Sub display number. The message box, WKS. See, now you don't have to type the complete text here. Just type a few characters which might just say WKS, hold control space bar. See, automatically the next text will come. When I say dot, I'll get one small window like this. This is called as IntelliSense or intelligent sensor. Okay, so what this will do, it will give me the next properties, methods, or the objects which I can continue. So suppose if you are learning VBA, so just go here. See, when I say dot, you can just scroll all this. You will get more idea to learn. Okay, now I'll say after this sheet, range of, it will ask for the cell address. So what is the cell I am actually trying to display? H5. I'll say H5 dot value. Yes, see. Fine. Let me execute F5. See, it says 100. Fine. Next, we saw how to do the calculation. Let's say 200. I want to add these two numbers. Go here, copy this. I'll say display calculation. In this case, I want to add this value and this value. I'll say H5. Here I'll say plus H6. See, H5 value plus H6 value. Now let me execute. Execute in the sense I'll just press this button or I'll say F5. See, F5, 100 plus 300. Sorry, 100 plus 200, I'll get 300. Now all this time I'm trying to display a message. Message has been displayed. Now let me take these calculation and put the value here in H7. That is, now what you're trying to do, you're taking the calculated values and putting that into Excel sheet. So what we'll do is here, let me copy the same program, put it here, say display calc, I'll make it as 2. This time I'll not use this message box because I don't want message box. I want the value to be displayed here, that is in H7. Let me copy this. So instead of message box, I'll say H7. See, H7 dot value equals H5 plus H6. Now let me execute this. Say now no message is displayed, but the result is getting displayed here. So this is how I can write the program to connect from VBA to Excel. Next, we understood how to take the value of a text. Then we also saw how to take the value from number, and then we also saw how to calculate and put the value into Excel. Next, we'll see how we can copy and paste the data from one cell to another cell, from one range to another range, from one sheet to another sheet, and do some calculations. So what I'll do, I'll just make a copy of this sheet. I'll just name this as copy. See, let me delete all this. If you see here, I have this WKS copy. I just renamed it Alt F11. Here, I'll take this sheet. I'll rename this. Say F4. I'll say WKS copy. Now I have a separate sheet wherein we can work on the copy and paste options. I'll take another module because it's a good practice. Keep different say sections in different modules. That will be good for recognizing the codes. Mod underscore copy. I just took a separate module here. Say I can use the same module, but it's a good practice to have a separate module so that I'll know all the copy codes will be in this module. Fine. Now how to copy the data? How to copy? Let's say I have a text here. I want to copy this data, which is there in WKS copy sheet D5 range, and I'll paste it in H5. That is from one cell to another cell. Now I'm trying to learn how to copy data from one location to another location. Okay, right. Sub copy data, I'll say cell. That is from one cell to another cell. Now we'll say WKS copy dot range of. Specify the range. I'm trying to copy D5 here. I'll go here, I'll say D5 dot copy. What I'm trying to do, I'm trying to say dot copy. Previously, I mentioned it as dot value. That means I'm trying to take the value from the cell. Now I'm trying to copy the cell itself. Copy. Now, where to paste? I've decided to paste in H5. Say WKS copy dot range of, say H5 dot paste special. Now what this will do, it will try to paste the data from this cell to this cell. Let me execute this. I'll say F5. See, it is copying from here and it is pasting in H5. Fine. Next, sub copy data range. Now let's see, suppose if I have a range, let's create a range. See, I have a range here. I need to copy this data and paste it in H5. That is in this range. The range is D5 to D9. Let's go back. We'll just do the same thing, dot range of. Now in this case, D5 to D9. So this is how we should give the range. This is hard-coded range. I'll tell you how to do this dynamic range. That is when you come to range objects. Dot copy. See, I mentioned it, D5 to D9 dot copy. Here I'm saying D5 dot copy. Here I'm saying D5 to D9 dot copy. Now I'll say WKS copy dot range of. Just mention same thing, because while copying, let's say manually, I'll show you. Copy this. I'll not select the range. I just go here, select only one cell, and I'll paste. Similarly, in code also, I'll say D5 to D9 dot copy. Then I'll say H5, say F5. See, copied and it's pasted. This is for the range. Now suppose if you want to copy and paste the data into different sheet itself, that is, let's say I want to copy this range and paste it in this program sheet. Let me go here, I'll say sub copy data underscore, I'll say sheet. I'm just trying to mention the program name such a way that it will be easy for you to understand what code I'm actually writing. Let's say wks copy dot range of d5 to d9 dot copy. This time I want to paste, let's say, wks program in k5. Say wks program. You have to mention the sheet name here. See, in this case I'm using the same name, so here I'm using a different sheet name dot range of k5 dot paste special. Let me run this. See, data from here it copied and it pasted here. Okay. Next, suppose I have some value here and I'm trying to put some formula here, some random formula. I want to copy this and paste it here. If I copy this, say Control C and Control V manually, see, I'll get something like this. But if you want to paste just as value, so what I'll do, I will copy this. I'll say Alt ES, that is paste special. I'll say values and say OK. See, only the values, not the formulas, will be pasted. Now, suppose if you want to copy and paste the formula to a values, what I'll do is I'll use sub copy data underscore values. That is, I need to paste the data which I've copied into values. So how to do that? Same thing, wks copy dot range of, then I'll take this f5 to f9. Say f5 to f9 dot copy. Then I'll say wks copy dot range of, mention this cell, say i5 dot paste special. Now after saying paste special, see, if I just put only paste special, see what will happen. If I say f5, it will copy and it will paste. It is like Control C, Control V. But what I need here is I need these values to be pasted as values. So what I'll do, say space. Then if you scroll down, here I have all the options of paste special. Let me select this paste values and I'll say f5. See, it will paste as values. Fine. Next, suppose I want to change the format of it. Let's assume I have a cell here. It says 1 decimal point. I'll just try to format this. Center aligned, red color with bold, and the font will be Arial and it should be 10. So assume that I have a cell like this and we'll put a border as well. I'll just put border here. Remove the grid lines just to check the format. Now I have a cell here with this format. I want to copy this cell and paste only the formats. The value should remain same, but the format should change. So for that, what I'll do, I'll go here and say sub copy data underscore formats. WKS copy dot range of. Now I need to copy this cell. So you have to understand what I'm copying, where I should paste. Now my requirement is to copy the formats and paste it here so that the same format is pasted in this range. That means I should copy this cell I2. Say I2 dot copy. So it is getting copied. Now I need to paste it here. Say WKS copy dot range of. Now you have to mention this because I'm pasting for all the cells here. Say I5 to I9. Say I5 to I9 dot paste special. Give a space, then go here. I'll use this format. See. Now if I run this, what will happen? See, F5, it copied this and it pasted the format. Now you should keep in mind, once you run any code and some modifications happen in the sheet, Control Z will not work. You cannot undo the task what you have done. So please be very careful while working on or say executing some program. Right? Okay, let me save this. So keep saving so that your programs what you have written will be saved. Fine. Next. So we saw about how to copy and paste as values, then formats. Let's say I want to copy and paste the column width. Let's assume, so here I have some columns like this. I want to copy the same column width of this one, whatever I have. Let's say I'll copy this H, I, and J, the column width, and I'll paste it here so that it will have same column width. We'll go here, sub copy data, and I'll say column width. Copy dot range. Then here we'll copy this H5 to J5. Say H5 to J5 dot copy. Now what will happen? This range is copied, but while pasting, I'll not paste any values. I'll just paste only the column width. Say wks copy dot range of. You can select this. Say from D5 dot paste special, comma. Now I'll use this column width. So whatever you're copying, you just have to use the space special and then the different formats of your pasting, that is whether values or formats or column width or formulas. There are so many options you can use them. Now let me run this. See here, the column width is very small here. I'll say F5, see, it will increase like this. The same column width what I have here, that will be here as well. Fine. Next, suppose I have a data here. Let me copy this. I want to paste this as transpose. I'll go here. I'll say transpose and say okay. See, transpose means from rows to columns to rows. We are trying to paste the values. Now, how to do this? Let's go back. Say sub copy data underscore. We'll say transpose. Let's copy this first. So whatever you are trying to copy, first copy that. Say D5 to F9. Say wks copy dot range of D5 to D9 dot copy. Now I copied this one, say from D5 to D9. Next is we'll paste. Let's say in D12 I'll paste. Say wks copy dot range of D12 dot paste special. If I use this paste special, what will happen? The table what I'm trying to copy here. Let's make it F9. See, if I run this, the same data is copied and pasted here. But for me, this should be transposed. So for that, what I'll do, I'll go here. I'll say transpose equals true. So what this transpose equal true will do, it will transpose the data. See, it will copy and it will paste. So this transpose what I'm using here, this one, is the parameter name. Let me show you one more way. I'll copy the same thing. I'll just name it as method 2. This one will name it as method 1. This is one way. I'll tell you why we have given this transpose here, because people will actually get confused. So when I say paste special and say space, I'll get all the paste special say methods where I can paste the values. So I don't want to mention anything here. I'll say comma. That means I'm trying to skip that parameter. Next is for the operations. Suppose if you see here, see, I'll get the parameter name here. Say it says operation. If I don't want anything, I'll say comma. Next one is skip blank. Even that I don't need. Say comma. Then it will go to transpose. Here I'll say true. But instead of going through all these parameters, what I've mentioned here is I've just taken this transpose and I've placed it here so that directly I can jump to this parameter and I'll say true. So here also I'm saying true, that is transpose equals true, but here I have to pass all these parameters. Instead of that, what I'm trying to do here is the transpose equals true. See, I can either do the program like this, or I can write the program like this as well. Now let me delete this, and if I run this, see, sorry, same name, that's why it is giving me error. I just state this name. See, both are same, so you don't have to bother whether I should use this method or this method. Any method you can use. Here I'm directly passing the parameter. Here I'm trying to skip the other parameters, and then I'm going to this parameters. Save this. This is for copying and pasting of the data. So yes, suppose if you think that you want to copy data from one location to another location, so you have to use this method. That is, you just have to mention the range and copy. While pasting, I'll say the range dot paste special. So more advanced things when we come to this workbook objects, then I'll tell you how to copy data from one workbook to another workbook. Fine. Next we'll see how to insert and delete of the rows and columns. Let me clear all this. Right. Let me go here. I'll try to create one small table immediately. Just one small table. Say if I use Control Enter, we get a table here. I want to insert one column here. If you want to insert a column, let me insert one module, a separate module. Therefore, I'll name it as mod underscore insert delete. Let's rename this sheet as well. F4. Okay. So let's say my requirement is to insert a column here, where in column E. I'll say sub insert column. First, we'll see how to insert a column, that is single column. Just mention WKS insert delete dot range. Now, when you are inserting a column, you have to specify which column, say column E. But the address says the column name and the row number. In this case, I don't have to bother about the row number. I can give any row number because the entire column is getting inserted. Let's say dot entire column dot insert. Now I'll say fi, see, one column got insert. One column. Let's go back. Now I want to delete. Now I saw how to insert. Similarly, I'll go here. Instead of insert, I just have to mention delete. That's all. See, this is for inserting. The same code I'm just writing next to it only so that it will be easy for you to understand how to insert and delete. Now let me execute this. See, the column which we had inserted will get deleted. Now how to insert multiple columns? Let's go here. Let me copy the same thing and I'll paste it here. I'll make it as multiple. See? Now multiple, that means let's say I want to insert 3 columns, E1 to G1. That means from E1 to G1, I'll try to insert. I'll say F5. See, from E to G, columns got insert. Fine. Next, I want to delete this. Let me copy this, and here I'll say delete. Here I'll say delete. Now I'll try to delete this. Say F5. It got delete. This is to insert and delete the column. So let's see how I can insert and delete the rows. Sub insert row underscore single. WKS insert dot range of. Now for me, when I'm inserting a row, the column name is not important. Means I don't have to specify which column because the entire row is getting inserted. It can be any column. So for me, row number is very important here. So which row I'm inserting? Let's say I'm inserting in row number 7. That means I'll mention A. 7 is the row where I'm trying to insert. Dot entire row dot insert. Let me run this. See, a row got inserted. Now to delete this, again let me copy this, paste it here, and here I'll mention it as delete. Now let's change this insert to delete. Let me run this. See, the row which I had inserted will be deleted. Fine. Now multiple rows. So here and here I'll say multiple. Mention the range, say A7 to A10. Say F5, see A7 to A10 got inserted. Now if you want to delete this, again let me copy this. I'll paste it here and I'll say delete, and here I'll change this method to delete. Let me say F5, see whatever I had inserted that will be delete. Let me save this. This is to insert and delete of the rows and columns. Now let's do one small dashboard kind of thing. So where this can be used, let's say I have a table here. I'll try to insert two buttons. Let's take two buttons here. I'll put it here. Okay. So we'll try to format this quickly. Okay. So we'll say plus, and here we'll say minus. Okay. So here I have plus and minus. I just created quickly a small buttons here. If I click on this plus button, a column should be inserted. If I click on this minus, a column should be deleted. So how to do this? So here I already have written some macros here, right? Now every time I'm trying to go here and say F5 and then I'm trying to execute this. But I can also use some buttons here so that I can assign these macros to this button, and directly I can work in the sheet itself instead of going and keep pressing F5 or clicking on this button. So how to do that? Let's say I want to run this program, that is to insert a column here. Let me copy this, select the object, right click and say assign macro. If you know that which macro you are assigning, you can select and you can assign the macro here. Suppose if you think that there are so many macros, just copy that macro which you want to assign and then paste it here. See, I copied this, I just pasted here, or you can go and you can select any of these macros. I'll say okay. Now we just say I'll click on this. See, now if you see the buttons which doesn't have that macros assigned will not have any. See, I'm not assigned any macro here. See the cursor here. But when I select this one, see, the cursor changed to hand. That means a macro has been assigned to this. Let me click on this. What does the macro says? It says E1 dot entire column dot insert. That means a column has to be inserted here. Let me click here. See, column got inserted. If I click on this again one more column will be inserted. Fine. Let's take this, delete, and I'll put it here. Right click, assign macro, and I'll say okay. Now here the code says delete E1. Let me click on this. See, here this column will be deleted. This is for this specific column. So what if I want to insert a column such a way that, see, I'll select here, click on this, the column has to be inserted wherever I select. So here it is specifically inserting in column E1 because I have specified here. So if you want to specifically, let's say I select this and say insert, the column has to get inserted in this column where I'm activating. So for that, what we should do is you have to write code like this. Say insert column active cell. Okay, active cell dot entire column dot insert. So you have to give active cell. You should not mention the range name. Now let me copy this. You should not mention any range like this. Right click. I'll change this macro to this one, active cell. Same thing, we'll write a macro for delete as well. Say delete. Here I'll say delete. Let me copy this and I'll assign the macro for this cell. Now you see, I'll just go and activate any of this cell. Let's say I'm in column G. Let me click here. See, a column got inserted in this cell. Now again, I'll go to this column I. See, I want to delete this column G. See, so wherever I select, that column will be deleted. So if I use active cell, that means wherever I'm activating the cell will get inserted or deleted depending on the macro what I'm running. Now suppose if you want to insert multiple columns, let me select this. If I click on this, see what will happen. Now this cell is active, that is E5 is active cell. Whenever I'm selecting something and dragging the cell, what you see this, in the selection the white color, that will be the active cell. Let me click here, see only one column is getting inserted, but for me I want to insert multiple columns. So for that, what we have to do is I have to go here and I have to say selection. Here I'll say selection dot entire column dot insert or delete, and here I'll say delete. Here I will say right click, assign macro, and I'll paste it here. Right click, assign macro, and I'll paste it. Now I've used selection. If you see here, this is selection, not active cell. Now let me select this. I've selected these three columns. Let me click here. See, three columns got inserted. Now if you want to delete only these two columns, say delete, only two columns will be deleted. Now the selection I've got one advantage, that is if I say active cell, only active cell will be deleted or inserted. Now when I say selection, I can also select only one cell. See, the selection works both active cell as well as multiple columns as well. So likewise, you can use these codes, say insert and delete of columns and rows, for inserting or deleting of the rows. So where this can be used, so suppose if you are creating one dashboard or a template where you have to dynamically do something like this, then you can use this code. So as when we keep going on the next chapters, I'll be explaining you how to work on this and where this can be implemented. Fine. Next topic will be hiding and unhiding. Let me delete this sheet. Hide, unhide of rows and columns. Hide, unhide. Let me delete these two buttons, not required here. Now we'll see how to hide and unhide the rows and columns. That is, I have few columns and rows here. This time I'm not deleting, I'm just trying to hide and unhide. Say Alt F11. Again, we go here, we'll insert a module. Say F4, say mod underscore hide unhide. And we'll rename the sheet as well here. F4. I can copy the same thing and I'll paste it here. This is the best practice always. Before starting your course, try to name the sheets, name the objects, and create a separate module, and then start writing the course. In this case, I'm trying to hide and unhide the rows and columns. The same concept, same logic what we've used here for inserting and deleting. Slight changes, I'll tell you what is that. Say sub, hide column, and I'll say single. Same thing. Suppose if you want to hide a single column, then I'll say WKS hide unhide dot range. Again, now I have to specify. Let's say I want to hide column E. Say E1 dot entire column dot hidden equals true. Now when I say hidden equals true, now if I say fi, see, the column will get hidden. If you want to unhide, copy the same thing, put it here, we'll say unhide, here we'll say false. Just turn this true to false, that's it. Now if I say fi, see, it will get unhidden. This for single column. Suppose if you want to do the same thing for multiple columns, go here, I'll say hide column multiple. Now you have to mention E1 to G1 entire column dot hidden equals true. I'll say fi, see, fine. Next, unhide, same thing. Go here, I'll say unhide, here we'll mention it as false. Run this, see, we'll get unhidden. Let me save this. Right. So this is how you can keep developing your programs. Next, what we have done here is for the entire column, that is for the column. Now let's see how we can do the same thing for a row as well. I'll go here, let's say sub hide row underscore single. Say WKS hide unhide dot range of. We'll take one row number. Now here I'll say A7 dot entire row dot hidden equals true. Let me just say fi, see, it got hidden. Next, to unhide, copy the same thing. Here I'll say unhide and here I'll say false. See, now this is trying to unhide the row what we have hidden. Save this. Multiple columns, sorry, multiple rows. Copy this, paste it, say unhide, so we'll make it hide, and here we'll say multiple A7 to A10 hidden equals true. Let me run this, see, fine. Next, unhide, copy this, paste it, say unhide, here I'll say false. You just have to understand the logic, that's all. See, entire row dot hidden, if it is true, that means it will hide. If it is false, it will unhide. That's it. F5. See, unhide. Let's go here, we'll try to hide this, see, and we'll see unhide like this. So you have to just try to understand the requirement and then start developing the skills of programming. That's all. So first you should understand, say here I want to hide only one row or one column. Then you have to go and specify the range. Then what am I doing? To hide the entire column, I'll use this code and I'll say true. If you want to unhide, I'll use this entire column dot hidden equals false, like this. So you have to first think logically what actually I'm trying to, do the task, the requirement. So based on the task or requirement, I can plan logically and then I can use the code and then execute it to perform the task. So this is what we have for the day. Okay, we still have so many codes like this. In the next session, I'll be explaining you about more, simple programs like this, and then you can go for more complex programs as well.